Today Mike's going to attempt to install a diesel heater.
Yes, we bought a Chinese diesel heater. It comes complete as a kit. We've got the diesel heater itself. We're not going to use the separate tank. We're going to go into our diesel tank. But instead of cutting a hole into our tank and using this pickup, we bought an adapter because on our sender unit, we've got an extra output on our sender unit and we can attach this to the sender unit directly in our tank. So we don't have to cut any more holes. We bought this online.
Okay, so we'll put a link to anything we bought in case anyone else might want to buy these things. I think this is the most terrifying part of our build. Do you know what you're doing?
Do I ever know what I'm doing?
These aren't how-to videos. These are how we are doing it. They may well turn into how-not-to videos, but we'll find out.
So the first step in the assembly is to put on the base plate. So it's secured with 4 nuts. We'll do them finger tight to start off with, and I'll just tighten them up in a minute with a spanner. The black rubberized tube is used for connections, so I need to cut off a piece to make connection from the engine to the fuel pipe. This will then slip over that piece there, push that down, and then the fuel pipe pushes down in there. So here we have the exhaust in place, ready to be clamped. Air intake pipe just sits over there, ready to be clamped again there. I just need to tighten these clamps up.
So we spent the last few days trying to figure out where we're going to put this diesel heater.
And we finally made a decision. So I've marked on the floor where the heater's going to go.
These are Mike's marked as beams that we can't drill through because they're structural. But he reckons we can drill through here.
The first thing to do is drill a pilot hole to make sure I have got my measurements right. So I'm going to drill it just in here in the middle.
And then you're going to go underneath and check it's come out where you're expecting it to come out.
Exactly.
See, I told you Mike was clever. He probably saw it on YouTube.
Right, now this is a scary bit. It's cutting the holes.
Baby girl, you're so fine. I can't get you off my mind,
Mike's been trying to drill through to install our diesel heater and he's just come across a bar or something in the floor. What do you think it is, Mike?
I don't know.
Do you think it's bones? Do you think someone's buried their wife in there?
Don't be horrible.
There's no telling what you want me creating.
So it's a little bit terrifying. Mike's going to drop the diesel tank to finish installing his diesel heater. And I'm a little bit scared. Are you scared, Mike?
No. Up underneath here, there's a bracket. A bolt there, same on both the other side. And I need to get those off to lower the tank. So save the tank crashing to the floor. I've got a couple of jacks, a piece of board holding it up in place.
So we've got most of the fuel out of it. I think it's still got about 1/8 of a tank in there. So hopefully it's not going to be too heavy.
There's no telling what you want me creating. We're on the same wavelength.
So Mike's got all the bolts out and the only thing holding up now is the jack and that plank of wood. A bit scary. He's now winding down the jack a bit and it's lowering. So far in a controlled manner. The bit Mike needs is actually at the other end. He thought it was going to be at this end, but it's at the other end. So Mike's putting it back up. It's definitely a bit terrifying watching Mike do this. He understands what he's doing. I wouldn't want to be doing it myself, that's for sure. The water tank's sitting there quite nicely though that he put in the other day. So we can't find the bit.
I think it's that bit there.
Mike thinks it might have been used before. So Mike thinks he's found the bit he has to poke his thing into. So what happens if you poke it into the wrong thing?
There's only one thing to poke it into.
You're not going to blow us up, are you? I really hope he knows what he's doing. This is an adapter to tap into the fuel tank. So he puts it in through that sender unit and then it's going to pump up the gas from our gas tank into our diesel heater.
So this is what we've got underneath. There's the fuel line there, the return in there, and there's this thing here which has got a rubber thing over the top. So this has been used before for something. So I need to get that off and drop that piece down into the tank and then I can clip that onto it.
So we're hoping the rain holds off for a little while. It's supposed to rain tonight, it's getting quite dark. Because the last thing we need is a torrential downpour while Mike's doing the most important part of this job. And here comes the rain. Well, Mike's undercover. Might have to go in. I don't like getting wet. It's going to be a rainy old day today. It's not looking too great, so Mike's getting cracking on his fuel tank stuff.
Yesterday I actually dropped the fuel tank down and found the auxiliary nipple that's on the feeder unit, and it had a plastic cup over it. Now I've removed that and it looks as though there's a hole there, but I can't get the feeder straw in. So I'm going to take a drill bit and see whether it is actually a hole there and I can get it in.
Yeah, so Mike's having trouble with his hole. So 2 days later,
I finally get there, and it's simple in the end.
so the problem was he was having trouble getting his thing to poke into the hole.
I should have realised that part of the instruction was to cut the nipple off the auxiliary outlet. There wasn't one. Instead there was a plastic piece covering it, which seems now that someone has actually used it, and that there was a pipe actually from the cap down into the diesel.
It makes so much sense now we think
So
about it.
what I had to do was to clip on the cap and the fuel pipe to the nipple, and it all works.
Woohoo!
I spent a day trying to get this straw into the tank.
So there's something to keep in mind if you are doing your own build and it's an old van and the cap's already been chopped off. Consider it's probably already still got the pipe in there.
Double check that to make sure the pipe is there. You can actually unscrew the sender unit and just lift it up, and you can see the pipe, or not pipe.
Okay.
Saw the pipe there, put the cap back on, tried it out, and it works, and it tastes horrible.
Oh my god. Go wash your mouth out with soap.
So after the frustration of the diesel tank, now hopefully it's just a simple task of putting on a diesel filter and pump for the diesel heater.
Famous last words.
But what I'm going to do is, I got this clear piping, I know it's a bit big, but I'm going to put the fuel pipe down through there. Then if any rocks or stones get thrown up, they won't damage the fuel pipe. Just hit that.
Baby girl, you're so fine. I can't get you off my mind. Ooh girl, nah nah. Ooh girl, nah nah. Baby girl, don't need to flex. Dance to the rhythm and you do all the rest. Ooh girl, nah nah. Ooh girl, nah nah.
So we tried to fire up the diesel heater, but we think there's not enough diesel in the tank because Mike emptied most of it. So we're just going to go and get some diesel.
Feel the beat tonight, something good inside. Set you free, let you lose all track of time. Come on, come on.
Oh shit. You got it. Have another problem. We filled up with diesel and it's now leaking our tank. Do you think you know what the problem is?
Yeah.
What is it?
I took the cap off the top where the plug goes in, and it's obviously that's not down properly.
So what are we going to do today, Mike?
Well, I'm going to siphon some diesel out of the diesel tank
Why is that?
because I didn't put the cap on properly. And I managed to start siphoning without drinking a drop of diesel.
Oh, well done. How'd you manage that?
Just stopped it in time.
So Mike's just siphoning out some diesel so we can drop the tank. I think we've got there, about 40 litres out of an 80 litre tank. Today Mike's going to drill a hole for his diesel heater through the floor and out through the car. He's going to install it and then we're going to test it, which is going to be exciting and a little bit scary. I'm a bit worried he might blow us up, but we'll see what happens. This is the hole Mike needs to cut out. This is his jigsaw. It's not quite long enough to go through the middle as well. So we're just going to drill through the wood bit for the minute and see how that goes. So there's Mike's nice big hole for our floor, the things we do for heat.
I'm going to drill a series of holes around here and then cut out and file down the hole.
Mike's making a mess. Big fat hole in our van. Jeez, I hope he knows what he's doing. It wasn't supposed to be that big, but he's going to be putting the exhaust from the diesel heater down through here. So we don't want this sort of getting hot and catching fire. So he's adapting a flue to fit in there. So we'll show you.
I need a heat shield to go through the floor underneath the diesel heater. So I bought this piece of tubing. The plan is I'm going to cut down here all the way around and flange that out so it sits on the floor, and then some of this will stick down through the floor.
How are you going to cut it, Mike?
I'm going to cut it with my angle grinder.
Oh my God.
So hopefully that's just going to go like that. I'm going to cut down this line here and then cut this flange out to spread out here.
Yeah.
So that sits on the floor and the diesel heater plate will sit on top of that.
Okay.
But when sparks fly, you know you must try.
Now cut it, I need to just file off the rough edges here.
Like it's on fire, then you know that.
We're hoping this is the right thing to do, but then we don't really know what we're doing. Just making it up as we go along. I mean, this was actually my idea, so that's why I'm a bit dubious about it.
I would say this is not a how-to do videos, this is how we did it.
See if it fits. It's too big. Oh no. Oh.
Just a couple of catches there.
That's exciting. Mike's got it in place. And now it's just started chucking it down with rain. So is it here all ready to go? So Mike's now in a position to try out the diesel heater for the first time. We haven't actually started it yet, so we don't even know if it works. So I'm a little bit nervous. Let's see what happens. So he's just getting the battery box in. So we've got some power to it, some 12-volt power. So he's just going to place it into the hole roughly for the moment. We're not going to stick it in permanently until we've made sure it works. And that bit to that bit.
I need to set up the fuel line underneath.
This is what it looks like underneath. Jeez, it's cold today. There's a cold breeze coming up from the south, and it feels like it's blowing straight off the mountain. Freezing. So Mike's just down there connecting up the fuel line.
So we're going to prime
Yep.
diesel, so it's the
That one at the same time.
that one.
Yep, H off it.
And then we press it down,
Yep.
turn it on.
Yep. Oh, it's ticking. I can hear it ticking underneath.
And we've got the oil pump thing there.
Oh, yeah, so at the moment it's just priming. So sending the diesel up, so it's ticking away. So it takes a few minutes apparently. So the hot air is going to come out this end. At the moment it's just blowing cold air.
It's saying here,
Yeah.
the fan is running.
Something's happening underneath. I can hear the pump going.
It sounds as if it's going, doesn't it?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going. It's going up in temperature.
I mean, it's blasting hot air out this end.
And you
Oh,
can
it's
see on
nice.
the-
So if you press the OK button up the top there, it should change. So it's currently
That's-
11. And what's the temperature? It's chasing 27, so that's
So-
probably a little bit high. So turn that down to maybe 20. Seems to be working.
So you just press and hold the
Yep.
off button.
Off. Okay. And now you just got to wait for
You
it to
just gotta wait
turn
for
off.
it.
Well, that's quite cool that it works. That's the diesel heater in and working. Woohoo!
Hey!
We're
At
not
long last.
We're not going to finalise sticking it down for good yet because there's a few other things we need to do with the wastewater tank under there. So we're just going to leave the video here at that. Stay safe
Have fun!
and be happy.